Can you hear my fan?
No.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another session of the Kitchen Club, the Natural Remedies Kitchen Club. This afternoon, our main presenter is Sonia Barnes, who operates her own ministry called Access for Health. Sonia has been supporting the Natural Remedies Kitchen from, let's say, day dot, right? She's a faithful follower, a faithful supporter. She herself is a naturopathic nutritionist with a whole years of experience under her belt. Lots of presentations have helped many others. And today she will be sharing with us some super important information on making room for legumes. And with that said, I am just going to whisper a word of prayer for the Lord's blessing upon Sonia and the presentation, the word that she has for us today. But before I do so, I just want to confirm, is our beans, legumes, making room for them, is that any good? Does it make sense? All right. So does it make sense? I'm reading here a little quotation from a very popular author, and it says, fruits, grains, and vegetables prepared in a simple way, free from spice and grease of all kinds, make with milk and cream the most healthful diet. They impart nourishment to the body and give a power of endurance and a vigor of intellect that are not produced by a stimulating diet. Okay, so I will now pray for Sister Sonia and ask the Lord's blessings as she makes rooms for legumes. Dear Lord, want to give you thanks for this afternoon, and as we venture into this presentation, I ask you to be with the presenter, touch her mind, and share as much information that you have blessed her with. May this information be a blessing to not just one, but to many who will listen to this recording at some point or time, and even to those who are present here today, including myself and her. We ask you to continue to keep your hands upon this ministry, continue to bless everything that we do as we use the opportunity to help others to improve and optimize their health and to be a blessing to others in terms of preparing good, healthy, delicious, nutritious meals. This is our prayer in Jesus' name, amen. Sonia Barnes, the platform is now over to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sister Davina, for inviting me back to the Natural Remedies Kitchen Club. It's a privilege to be here. And so you've heard the topic, make room, make room. Now, God has given us the grains, the fruits, the nuts for us to indulge on, for us to eat, okay? And the world now is saying, hang on here, we need to include that in our diets. But we know we serve a God that knows exactly what we need. And so when I talk about making room, this will be no a strange topic to yourselves, because being a part of the club, Kitchen Club, you know that Sister Davina and all the directors and the cooks in this course, in this club, that they've been encouraging you how to use your legumes for various nutrients, giving you various nutrients in the body. So this won't be new to you, but it's just unpacking it a little bit more. And at the end of this presentation, that you'll see, just by just saying eat your legumes, but why are you doing that? What's the benefits in doing so? So even though legumes is banting around as being carb-free, and it's very good for your body, you should actually include it in your diet on a daily basis, did we know that the year 2016. 2016 was declared the International Year of Pulses. International Year of Pulses. So I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. I have a poll here, but we'll leave the poll for maybe another time, or maybe towards the end. But let me just share my screen and just start from the beginning here. Okay. So there are some secrets. There are ways that we should include, various reasons why we should include it in our diet. Okay, screen share, start from the top. Great, okay. Right, so the CDC.gov, because a lot of women, we know we go through various stages of our life, okay? And perimenopause and menopausal years are often considered as some difficult years for us women, okay? And 44% of postmenopausal women are taking HRT pills, because they feel that those pills will help to get rid of the symptoms during those phases of life. Now, I know there are lots of symptoms. It could be hair loss, it could be fat around the middle. So when you were much younger, you had your hourglass figure, but now you have the children, or even without children, you realize that those years, you're putting on some weight around your middle section. Pimples, being irritability, forgetfulness, fatigue, the list goes on. But in our Bible, it says, the Lord, he says, pray that we all may go well with you and me, and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. And that's 3 John 1 verse 2. The next text says, Proverbs 3 verse 7 to 8. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Now, these are just 2 texts regarding health in the body. There's numerous of other texts, but it just shows that even with what we go through or what expected of us, which can be negative towards health, God wants us to prosper in health. And he wants us to seek him, who is our creator, who is our healer, our protector. Go to him and for him to give us guidance. So as we talk about this topic, making room for legumes, a part of the legumes, we know we talk about beans, right? And it's all about the beans. I'm sure you will come across these phrases that says, spill the beans, as in, tell me what's going on. What's the latest on such and such a topic? Or what's the latest going on in a family member? Spill the beans. It could be bean pole, snap bean, string bean. Someone's quite tall and slim, of a slim structure. Bean bags as well too, full of beans. The person is just lively and, jovial, full of beans. Bean ball, what's in the head. It's referred to things going on in the mind, the head. Bean counter. Now, bean counter is referred to someone who is a financial person who, but very not so free in spending their money. Hill of beans and beans here, bean here and done that. So this is just to give you a bit of flavor in terms of how the various different phrases and slogans about beans. Beans is so, so important. So as we talk about beans, which is part of the family of legumes, what is legumes? Legume is a plant in the family of the leguminous, say, or the fruit or a seed or such a plant. Of course, legumes are grown agriculturally, primarily for their food, grain, seeds, beans, lentils, and of course, general pulse. And some of the well-known legumes, alfalfa, clover. Who would think of clover? Okay, so these are quite popular ones. We know of peas and we know of beans, but tamarind and mesquite. So these are all classified as legumes. Now, here are some more. The popular ones Chickpeas, of course, we know we make our chickpea or hummus or chickpea stew, or using chickpea to make, I'm sure we make actually tofu with it. I'm sure Sister Davina come up with an ice cream recipe of some sort, but I know chickpea is pancakes, use a scrambled eggs, and there are various different dishes that we can use use in chickpeas. Of course, lentil stew, of course, we know the loaf, and it goes on. There's just numerous recipes. Soya bean, peas, clover, peanuts, carob, tamarind, beans are all the popular ones, what we can refer to as legumes. And it's referred to as a superfood that should be regularly used on the plate. And some studies have gone as far as should be on a daily basis. So legumes, full of nutrients that the body requires on a daily basis, very high in folate. And I'm going to drill down a bit later on in why this is so important to have and why is it linked into hormones. Potassium, iron, magnesium, what I call the unforgotten mineral, or the magnificent mineral, or the hidden mineral, but it is so important for the body. Over 300 biochemical functions that magnesium is used for in the body. Just by sitting down, now you're probably watching this replay, just by flicking your eyelids without even doing it, it's an automatic reaction in the body. All needs for magnesium. Magnesium is so important in heart health, hypertension, so cardiovascular issues, menopause, the gut, sleep, you name it. Exercise, magnesium is required. Legumes give us soluble and insoluble fiber, and fiber is such an important nutrient for the body on a daily basis, for everyone, from the youngest child to the adult, from 6 to 66 and over and more. We need fiber to help the gut move on a daily basis, to feed the microbes in the gut as well. And we have trillions of microbes that live on the inside of us, and they need feed. And fiber is one of the key things that they gravitate to. Good source of protein. Now, we've been given a message of, cutting out the flesh meats and byproducts and be vegans, hence why you have this lovely course and club encouraging those who are still transitioning on to move away from flesh meat. But people say, well, where do I get my protein from? You want to get hold of some good legumes. Zinc. Zinc is crucial for cell regeneration, but also for how our moods are. So our neurotransmitters in the brain and also in the gut. Zinc is crucial for that. Manganese. B vitamins, another key one, okay, that really plays an important part when it comes to our hormones. Copper. Now, copper and zinc, they always fight for space in the body, and one will try to outdo the other. So we'll have to ensure that those two, zinc and copper, are balanced. But of course, once you have your legumes, then you know you're having all those nutrients, and the body will see and synergize and work things out. Carbohydrates, phosphorus, and of course, antioxidant, and the list goes on. So when you look at this list, and when you think of, okay, I need to have some legumes, whether it's beans, whichever the shape or the form is on your plate, just remember the goodness you're doing to your body. Now, looking at some of the benefits, legumes helps to lower blood sugar, blood pressure, heart rate, and other heart and diabetic risk. So being a diabetic, you want to ensure that you have the amount of bean on your plate, your legumes, however that may look on your plate. Helps cell damage and fight disease and aging as well. Some of us are aging, quite faster than we should. So the cells are dying. But by including legumes in our diet on a daily basis, that also helps to ward off and to renew those cells that we need to keep us fresh and younger, and be able to spend more time with our grandchildren, with our children, and just for yourself. Looking after yourself first is crucial, because without you and you being a healthy you as God wants you to be, how then can you then help others around you? So legumes helps with security of the body, looks after the body, strengthens the immune system, strengthens the gut, which helps to strengthen the whole being. Okay, so it's no cholesterol. So when you talk about protein gravitating to flesh meat, you know you're going to deal with the cholesterol on that side. But legumes, no cholesterol. Anti-diabetic, anti-cancer properties as well. Source of micronutrients, I mentioned some earlier, iron, manganese, zinc. You know, these nutrients are what's required for so many different functions of the body. What about energy? Sometimes when you talk about hormones, when you reach a certain age, you're lacking energy, thinking, oh, I'm getting old. Is it because your diet is not balanced? Is it because there are certain nutrients that are not present in your diet? Is it that sometimes you need a boost of these nutrients as well? High in antioxidants. So a lot of people will think, okay, I need to have my fruits, I need to have my vitamin C in order to boost and to get all the antioxidants from those foods, or mangoes, or lemons, or orange citrus fruits. But including legumes in our diet helps to raise our levels. It's gluten-free. And the wheat of yesterday is not the wheat of today. So the breads and the certain grains that we used to have, you know, yesteryear, or great-great-great-grandparents and beyond, are not so readily available to us today. And so a lot of the foods, the processed foods that we are available to us, they have gluten. And I know a lot of the recipes, because one of Davina's Natural Remedies Kitchen, I would say one of their aims is to provide or to share recipes that are gluten-free, because it's best for health. When it comes to sugar, high sugar, salt, fat, gluten, they create havoc in the body, and in particular the intestines, so in intestine walls. So we have been prescribed, or we've been diagnosed, more to the point, with leaky gut. And gluten is one of the culprits of us developing leaky gut. Once you have leaky gut, you have gut problems. Not only that, it then leads to autoimmune diseases. So, which diabetes is one of those, lupus, hypothyroidism, all these other autoimmune diseases has a direct link to leaky gut, which then points the finger to gluten in the diet. Low glycemic index. Again, you want foods that release slowly in the body and stay, so you're fuller for longer. So then you're not binging, you're not eating between meals, eating small snacks because you're hungry, but having beans, having soya beans or peas or peanuts or legumes will help to ward off hunger. So then it keeps the blood sugar levels stable and not spiking every time you eat. Because once you eat, of course, it will spike your blood sugar levels. But once you're fuller for longer, then of course that keeps you full and you're not then eating quite regularly. Low fat. Low fat also then, of course, excess fats in the body creates havoc, of course, cause, and I'm talking about fats here, not the good fats that we are told and encouraged to eat, but other fats out there, that meat fats or hydrogenated fats or trans fats from processed foods, that will cause the arteries to clog. But we want to ensure that we have healthy fats. So our nuts or avocados or olives, and the list goes on. And of course, legumes give us healthy fats. And of course, high dietary fiber. We need fiber in the body to help us to feed the microbes that are, I say, in the second brain, in the gut, because they help they're the engine room, I call it. I refer to them as engine room because they help us to break down our foods, for the foods to be absorbed in and distributed to the other parts of the body. These microbes are constantly working and they need high dietary fiber. So high protein as well too. We need protein in the diet. And what best way to get our proteins from legumes? The list goes on. But the benefits of legumes is just to encourage us and to take note of how important this is. So talk about hormones. In particular, our sex hormones, we talk about estrogen, progesterone. Both these two dance with each other all the time. And once you reach a certain age, then of course they start to drop, okay? And then we have from perimenopausal to menopausal and postmenopausal ladies, where these, lovely hormones, they taper off, and if not be careful, then that's when we often have more illnesses coming to the front, because they do, especially progesterone, help to ward off, let us feel good about ourselves. Then we have testosterone. There are times when testosterone is so high in the body that it causes illnesses and other symptoms, negative symptoms that we don't really want to deal with. To name just a couple, just to see endometriosis also as PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. When we have too much testosterone, we have hair on the face, and the list goes on. Insulin, cortisol, king of hormones. Once you're feeling stressed about anything, any aspect of your life, your cortisol will spike. And that then has a negative effect on your melatonin, what's called the sleep cycle hormone that we need once we need to go to bed. That hormone needs to increase and cortisol needs to decrease. Of course, we have the thyroid, and we have quite a few other hormones that's in the body. But just for this talk today, we just want to focus on the sex hormones, reproductive hormones, and namely the estrogen and the progesterone. Once we're at this very stage of our life, which is pre-menopause, post-menopause, as you're sitting here, you probably can think to yourself, okay, I'm more or less gone through it, and I can remember hair loss or hair thinning, acne on the face, hair on the face, more hair sometimes on the chin than what's on top of your head. You're losing the hair in the crown of your head. Your edges are disappearing. You're gaining weight in places you don't really want it to be. Back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, the list goes on. And as you can see from this slide, where the symptoms are stronger during the age of 45 to 55 years old. And you complain of, getting out of the bed in the morning, have to put one leg down and the next before you can just get up and spring out of bed. Whereas before in your 20s, you get up and you go. Weight gain is another one, where you were much younger, you could, you have a function coming up and just give you a week or two, cutting back on certain foods, you drop the weight so quickly. But once you reach those stages of life, it takes forever, much longer to remove weight. And especially if you're gaining weight in a place where you're have a tendency of, so we know about our body shapes. We have or apple shape or pear shape, straight, slender person, or the person who just has the weight on just around the midsection. Now, during your younger years, even though that's your prevalent areas of putting on weight, it wasn't an issue for you to get rid of that weight if you needed to, just by making some tweaks to your diet and the food you're eating, exercise. But once you reach a certain age in life, that's not the case. So your hips are stretching out even wider. You're carrying your weight, if your tendency to carry your weight on your hip, or is it around the tummy area, or is it about the bust area on the shoulders? And you're doing your level best to keep in shape, but all your hard work, you're just not seeing the effects. You're just not seeing the results that you so wish. And it's when your hormones are in balance. The hormones not balanced. So your estrogen and your progesterone are just everywhere, and your testosterone also. And so including legumes in your diet helps. Now, when you talk about hot flashes, there are night sweats, hot flashes, not able to sleep properly at night, tossing and turning. One of the things is sleep deprivation as well too. So you go to bed and you're lying down you're preparing yourself for bed and you're trying to do your best for your health. And you're trying to do what you've been told, or all these lectures you've gone to and health sessions where you prepare yourself for bed and all that, but you're still not falling asleep. You're going to bed and you're lying and you're looking at the ceiling, or you're tossing and you're turning, or you eventually fall asleep, but somehow you're waking up at the wee hours of 1, 2 o'clock and not able to go back to sleep. Now, there are various different things that points to that when that happens. It could be liver needs cleansing, could be that you have emotional issues dealing with, and that's just really increase your cortisol levels, so that preventing you from sleeping. You're not resting, you're not actually dealing with those issues. It could be that you ate late that evening. It could be that you exercise too late just before bed, and the list goes on here. But oftentimes, hormones are imbalanced. So, hormone harmony, in balancing the hormones, and various different hormones too, we want to ensure that, just as you see this slide with all little pots of different beans, peas, legumes in general, I'm encouraging you that you actually incorporate this into your diet on a daily basis. That your plate, whether it's breakfast, it's going to be dinner, or a light supper, whatever that may look like, that you include some legumes in your daily eating. Folate is B9 from B complex, from the B vitamins. And B vitamins are very important for helping your body to convert food to energy. And of course, it boosts good cholesterol. It reduces inflammation. So when I spoke about knee pain and back pain, because you reach a certain age, and oftentimes ladies say, oh, because I'm getting old, so when I get up from the chair or the bed, I have to hold my back. My back hurts so much. Yes, okay. But that's inflammation, pain. And we know inflammation has its good points and its not so good points. Because when we feel pain, it's indicating that there's something not quite right here. It's saying, a tap on the door, hello, something's not quite right, fix it. And so you may feel it in your back. So it's giving you, it wants to say, okay, what is it you're doing? Check your health. Now we know about the 8 laws of health, and nutrition is a key part, a key to good health and sustaining longer health to look after our families and our friends. And so we want to ensure that we have our folate in our diet. Folate will work very nicely with B6 when it comes to things like especially if you're worried about things. Of course, we live in a pandemic now, this new norm. Some of us are still not getting used to what we need to be getting used to, but do we get used to this time, or should we just continue going through, asking God for guidance to take us through this phase, which we look forward to other things that will be we'll face. So folate and B6 and B3 and B2 all work nicely together. The B complex all together, but in particular for hormones and balancing these hormones, we look at riboflavin, B6, folate, B1 as well too. Very beneficial. And so when we eat a diet that has legumes, then we're eating a balanced diet that includes, of course, beans to give us all of these nutrients. I mentioned fiber earlier, and fiber keeps you regular. So you see, fibers, they are packed with soluble and insoluble fiber, and it's perfect for promoting better digestion. So we eat our food, better digestion, because guess what? The microbes on the gut, they help to digest our foods. And good bowel regularity and helping to prevent constipation. Now, when we eat our breakfast, we should have a bowel movement after. And we have our dinner or lunch, whatever time you're having that, it should trigger to get rid of what was there before, to make room for the new ones, new foods and nutrients coming in. And so fiber helps with regularity. And it helps to form, so when you look at the Bristol stools chart, you're actually aiming for type 3 and type 4 on the Bristol stools chart. Not 1 or 7, where 1 is constipation, it's small pebbles. You're sitting on the toilet, on the loo, on the toilet for an hour. You're bringing your book and your phone and your newspaper because it's taking so long to pass the bowel movement. No, you need to be in, pass the bowel movement, and to be get up and having to wait for that to pass through. And also, you're not going to regularly because you're having diarrhea, because you're not able to keep the food in. So you're eating the good foods in, but for whatever reason, something's not quite right where you're having diarrhea. So you're getting rid of the nutrients that you're getting from the legumes. So fiber is crucial. I mean, people talk about, yes, it makes me windy and, let me pass a lot of gas. But if you do the test where studies have shown that after 3 weeks of eating beans on a regular basis, that should get rid of the flatulence. And there's been studies shown that noticeably that after 3 weeks, because we feed in the microbes. You see, when you have more good microbes than bad microbes, they like fiber. So they will start flourishing more and being able to get rid of the bad microbes, the bad bacteria in the gut. And that's what causes all those havoc. So if you just started introducing beans into your diet and you're experiencing this problem, just stick with it. Stick with it. You'll feel and reap the benefits of eating your legumes. So legumes have phytoestrogen also. And phytoestrogen, they mimic the estrogen in the body. The natural estrogen in the body has, but of course, once you reach a certain age, that estrogen level reduces. And legumes and beans and, the peas and the chickpeas and the soybean and the peanuts and all that, they have phytoestrogen. And these phytoestrogen, there are 3 forms of them: the isoflavonoids, the comestins, and the lignans. The 3 parts, these 3 sections, they make up phytoestrogen. They're really good in order to increase the levels. And so that helps then with the hot flashes that the woman will experience. It helps with the irritability as she goes through her menopausal, premenopausal, menopausal years. It helps with the hair growth and thickening the hair from the scalp. And not just have to accept that, because I'm at this age now, so I'm going over the hill. We often hear about that. I'm getting old, so my memory goes and forget things, and it's just a part of life. But no, God has given us these foods to eat in order for us to prosper and be in good health. When you feel good about yourself, you can tell others about it. And I think it's where the Natural Remedies Kitchen does such a fantastic job, because the recipes are there. And when you try these recipes and you see the benefits of these, and not just eating boring beans every day, but there's so much creative recipes for these beans. You can share them with your family and your friends and introduce them that, hey, you can get all that benefit from it. Isoflavonoids as well too. Isoflavones, which also comes from our legumes. The GENESTEIN and the diacetyl, these are 2 compounds that are in our soya bean. And of course, it's phytoestrogen. And they also helps to inhibit growth of cancer. It controls cell cycle progression as well. So these are just additional nutrients that helps once we reach a certain stage of our life. And when our estrogen and our progesterone, the levels drop in the body. So I hear you say, well, yes, I do eat my beans. I do make different dishes with it. Just remember that your legumes are anti-cancer. They provide you with the B vitamins, which are so crucial. The B vitamins also helps with keeping certain levels of homocysteine in the body, and homocysteine levels. When that spikes, it shows that you have some inflammation going in the body and that there's something wrong. But our B vitamins help to strengthen the immune system, helps to ward off these other pathogens that comes to it. Weight loss as well too. If you want to lose some weight, you want to ensure that you keep your legumes in, keep you regular as well too, mentioned earlier. And something that's called the binge insurance. So it keeps you fuller for longer. So you're not eating around the clock and picking and eating between meals that disrupts your digestive system and disrupt your digestion of your foods. But you know, they're low glycemic as well too. Very good for the heart. Keeping our inflammation at bay as well, aches and pains. So the question is, are you getting enough? Are you eating enough of your beans on a daily basis? And I've just shared just 2 kinds of beans here, because of course the list goes on when it comes to our beans. And as you can see, kidney beans, in that kidney, a half cup, just a half a cup, gives you 7.5 grams of protein, just half a cup of beans. So we're not saying to eat a full plate of beans, but just a half a cup will give you this much. Fiber. Now, fiber for an individual an adult, you want to aim for at least 32 to 38 milligrams of fiber. Grams of fiber per day. And so half a cup already gives you 5.5 grams. So we're not talking about whatever else you're going to have on your plate, or the fruits you had in the morning for breakfast. Those fiber-rich foods and other foods for the fiber. You know, your apples and your bananas, and it could be your vegetables, soybeans, your kale and your spinach and your broccoli and all those ones has fiber as well too. But just half a cup of kidney beans will give you 5.5. Carbs, 20 grams, just in half a cup. Fat, good fat though, 0.4 gram. Your protein, 7.5. Now, depends on your weight is how you should have your protein. So, you know, someone who is weighing, I would just say quickly, if they're in kilos, so if you're weighing 81 kilos in weight, then of course you want to aim to have something like from about 56 to 60, 162 gram of protein. So your protein is going to be in accordance to your weight. So if it's a child, you know, meal or a male, the weight size for the person, eat according. Black bean, again, sodium free, of course, cholesterol free, low in fat, high in fiber, very high in fiber. And a half of cup canned black bean. Now I like using this bean in making burgers. I call it burgers. Some people say it's called pate, but it's very so easy to make. But I like it because this bean also reminds me of eating rice and peas, but it's not quite rice and peas, but it gives me that taste anyway. And so I have this sometimes for breakfast, or add it according to my protein portion for my lunch or dinner. But just to show you, fiber in half a cup gives you 8.3 grams. And protein, 7 grams. And carbs, 20 grams. Okay, and it's just gonna keep you fuller for longer. This is just giving an idea of, are you getting enough? And as you sit and just reflect on your plate, what's on your plate? How much legumes are you having every day? in order for you to fulfill your recommended daily allowance. So as I close, I just want to bring your mind back to how the importance of legumes. Make room on your plate for them. In a study where loads of various different studies on PubMed or on the internet and various different books and authors, that just including legumes in your diet, if you're experiencing hot flashes and sweating, do a test. Do this test. Ensure you have legumes on your plate every day. And I guarantee you, after week 3, you'll start seeing changes anyway from week 2. But week 3 to week 4 and beyond, you'll see a marked difference in the symptoms that you're facing just by having legumes. If you're a menopausal woman, you want to include your legumes, and particularly because you're looking for the nutrient and the vitamin that's called folate. And folate helps to ward off all of these menopausal symptoms that is attributed to that phase of your life. So the hot flashes in particular is a great one. And I know there's other things you can do, but just talking about our legumes today, make room for them. As you can see, there's various different ways you can include them in your diet. And I just want to say here at this point that the monk bean is one of the most consumable bean in the world. Monk bean, M-U-N-G, monk bean is one of the most. And one of the, some of the countries that have a lot more intake of beans or legumes in terms of beans are places like Bolivia, Ecuador, and those parts of Brazil. They consume a lot of beans. Another one also, that if you're thinking of how to get them in, I know the Natural Remedies Kitchen Club and the kitchen do include a lot of recipes. And these are some of the phrases that you come across. You may not know all of them, but where we are, just search to see, okay, how can I include more? Now, you may often hear people say beans on toast, and that must, attributed to English, beans on toast. It could be beans and rice, because it depends on where you are in the world. Beans is consumed by us all, but we refer to beans by various different names. But it always boils down to beans. Refried beans, bean stew, peas and rice, rice and peas. Rice and peas is often rice and peas, and then you have rice and beans. I think it's more the Caribbean side. Peas stew peas as well. Bean patties, waki and kanwa is beans and rice as well too. Moi moi is Nigerians refer to moi moi, and where they get the beans, boil it, and they crush it, and they make this lovely dish with that. Black-eyed pea soup, Liberia. Red stew, Ghana. Lingo d'oit Nord from France. And Alubia de la Banza Leon is Spain. That's a mouthful there. And bean ice cream. I'm sure Sister Boosie will probably come up with an ice cream with beans. Okay? Because I know she's a connoisseur when it comes to ice creams. Bean loaf. Whatever you need to do, get them into your diet, because they are a girl's best friend. A girl's best friend, a woman's best friend in balancing your hormones. As I said before, they're full of phytoestrogen, and we need that. Menopause, calm the menopause symptoms. It helps with breast pain and tenderness as well. So the queen of phytoestrogens are called isoflavones, which of course you get that in the soya beans, the lentils, and the chickpeas. They are a great source for that. And of course, you know, get a nice serving, get them in, but a nice serving is roughly like about 50 grams of beans. Get them into your diet because of course, beans contains fiber and we want to feed our microbes. So 3 points, make room for legumes to ensure your body is filled with vital nutrients. And just to recap, manganese, magnesium, iron, calcium, zinc, copper, B vitamins. So you got macronutrients and you got micronutrients. So you got your fiber, you got your carbohydrates going on as well too. They're low in fat. And the list goes on. Number 2 is to explore and try new dishes with different legumes each week. So if you're accustomed to having red kidney beans and black-eyed peas, reach out to monk bean or pinto beans or white beans. I know the Natural Remedies Kitchen, they really encourage you to explore, to encourage you to experience and to find all the different other recipes, to get familiar with them. This is God-given food for us, all right? So we shouldn't be shy and afraid of using them. And, you know, enjoy and share with others. So when you come up with a lovely recipe, or you're feeling the benefits of the nutrients of what you're taking in, so you get the nutrients from it, that you share the goodness of God's food, all right? And to apply the other key health to fulfill the benefits. Because if you're eating your legumes to balance your hormone, but you're not going for walks, exercise, we're not going out for fresh air, we're not actually going out for sunlight when it's available, depending on which part of the world you are. And just remember that if you're not getting the vitamin D, because vitamin D has a receptor in every cell, and vitamin D also is classified as a hormone that works very well closely with balancing hormones. So we want to ensure that we get in the sunlight, the first source of that, and we're also getting or taking a supplement if you're not where you're at readily getting the sunlight. So get your supplements in on a daily basis, okay? And if you live in a cold climate, that you ensure that your vitamin D capsules are taken from October back to April in order for you to get a recommended daily allowance. Magnesium also helps with vitamin D and with hormones, it balances your hormones. Ensure that your nutrients, you have your nutrients where you can, because they all synergize and work with each other. No nutrients or vitamin work in isolation. So having your legumes, ensure you go to your Father in heaven with all your problems, because eating a healthy food and still having emotional issues going on in your life will hinder the body from absorbing the nutrients. Stress, when your cortisol levels are quite high, it have a negative impact on how you digest your food. And so every aspect of your body works in synergy with each other. Every organ relies on each other. The brain is linked with the gut, and information from the gut goes to the brain, and from the brain to the gut. The liver plays a key role with the hormones as well. So we ensure that whatever we do with one, it will have a great impact on the other. So when we have emotional worries and stresses and concerns, unresolved issues, unforgiveness, it will play a negative role in our body. And so we want to ensure that whatever we do, we live this holistic life. That's what God wants for us, that we prosper and be in good health. So for nutrition, or exercise, drinking our water helps to flush the gut and help with digestion, but also helps with passing our stools, and of course, bringing with 70% water. So all the cells, we need water. Our sunshine, temperance. Now, I'm encouraging you in this talk to get your beans on your plate, but of course, temperance. Remember temperance as well too. And of course, rest. Go out for air, breathe fresh air into the lungs. That helps blood to bring the nutrients around the body. And trust in God. We are living in uncertain times. We know not what the future holds. We know not what we have another lockdown coming or not, but we go to our God who knows it all, and we go to him on our knees, constantly praying to him for him to guide and direct our path. He says, cast all your cares upon him, for he cares for us. For us not to lean on our own understanding, but in all our ways, acknowledge him, acknowledge him. Let him know how you're feeling. Let him know what you're going through. Let him know that you're transitioning to becoming a vegan. You want to do right by your body, and for him to help to get rid of all the cravings and all the things around you that cause that distraction. It could only be you in your family who is trying to eat this way. And so the distractions can be so heavy on us. But ask him to be with us and to help us through every stage, and he will direct our path. For us to hear the Holy Spirit and to listen to the still small voice, for him when he directs us, that we listen and to act up on it. So, as I close now, I just want to say, enjoy. If you're eating your beans now, continue doing so. But there's always room for more legumes in other ways. So I could be saying, incorporate other dishes into your into your daily diet. Not just eating the same rice and peas or bean stew or stew peas, or eating it in one way. Add it to your salads, whatever you need to add it to. But incorporate and just step out. Look at other recipes on the internet, or talk to other friends how they do their beans. You may be from the Caribbean. How does your sister in Ghana prepare her beans? How is your sister in Europe, in Spain, in Portugal? How do they prepare their beans? Because we all have different dishes, and that's the beauty of this all. That we are all God's children, but we all have something to share. Or a sister who lives in Bolivia, or a brother, or relatives, wherever. See how they do it and incorporate that into your diet too, all right? And to make it versatile, because beans, legumes in general are versatile. You make so much, okay? So I'll close here and just thank you for listening. I just want to thank the Natural Remedies Kitchen for inviting me back, and we will be in contact another time. I will now end to close. Stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Sister Sonia. That was a fantastic presentation. Now, Sonia, we have, this is now the time to ask questions. It's now time for questions and answers. Has anyone got any questions for Sonia before I have to shoot away with my questions? I'm giving you a chance to ask first. All right.
These are students, Sister Divina, that have been listening to and taking on board all that you've been teaching them over the months. And yes, that's really good, yes, that's very good.
That's fantastic. All right. Sister Sonia,
Yes.
there is one part that you touched on that is very important. And I mean, you've touched on it in more than one areas, but I want you just to re-emphasize this section. And by the way, I'm even going to record this question because I want this particular answer to be recorded. All right. There is one particular area in this presentation that I would like for you just to reiterate, because repetition deepens impression. There's a lot of false negative. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, and I just want that air to be cleared. When it comes on to soya and cancer, soya and fibroids, soya and growths, soya and GENESTEIN, soya,
yes,
phytoestrogen.
Yeah.
I have seen nutritionists, I have seen doctors gotten fed up of trying to explain this to people, that researches prove that soya does not cause cancer or does not increase your risk of getting cancer. Do you mind just re-emphasizing a little bit in this area for me, please, just for the record purposes?
Right. Okay. So when we talk about legumes, and we mentioned, so that's soybeans, the beans, and all that, but in particular, soybean. Now, so soybean has the compound. So we have phytoestrogen, and we have isoflavonoids. Now, those two compounds are crucial when it comes to hormones. And because you have phytoestrogen, it mimics, and that's the key word, it mimics the estrogen in the body. But remember, it's plant-based. So when we have, for those who used to, or for those who still do, eat, whether it's chicken or meat, just say flesh foods anyway, they're bringing in hormones into the body. And remember, our body already have our hormones to deal with. So you have extra hormones. That's why you have things like cholesterol and it goes up. But these plant-based foods are plant-based. So the estrogen they have doesn't have the same effect that like other estrogen-rich foods, like your animal-based foods. And so these compounds here, the GENESTEIN and the diacein, they are soy phytoestrogen. Now these two compounds here, they inhibit the growth of cancer. And so of course they work readily better with the body. The body recognizes these as opposed to the other foods out there. And that's why, so you're quite right, Sister Davina, there's still controversy over whether we should have soya or not. And we want, someone would go ahead and argue fermented soy is, of course, better than just the ordinary soy. But so we shouldn't be afraid of having soya in our diet. It's crucial. And now remember, these legumes, especially soy, you have the fiber that goes with it as well too. Now, when the body have excess estrogen, that's why you have estrogen dominance and imbalance going into the body. That same soya also helps to get rid of the what I call the bad estrogen, because it helps with better bowel movement. So you're getting rid of that estrogen out of the body completely, rather than it being just circulating back into the liver all around, causing more havoc. And where it's not able to get out of the body via the bowel movements, it then forms little pockets. So sometimes a woman may have breast cancer, or you may have have lumps all over the body, and including the fatty areas of the body, and namely the breast. Little pockets of extra estrogen, because the estrogen has nowhere else to go. So it's just floating around, causing havoc. I think it's called fibromyalgia. The little pockets that forms in the breast. So we want fiber and estrogen, plant-based estrogen, because the body recognizes that. And by eating more of that, it helps to control the cell cycle. So, we turn over cells, blood cells at 120 days, but we turn over cells very regularly in the body. And so these compounds, the genistein and the diacin and the isoflavonoids and the lignans and the cumestins, they help with the turnover of these cells. And so reach cell regeneration. And so you get rid of the bad ones, they recycle, they come new again. So it's much better for the body than what is led to believe. And I think, I did mention about the regularity in getting rid of the excess estrogen. And so many of us are estrogen dominant. And that's why we have the breast pains. If you're perimenopausal years, still having your periods, breast pains all over, the back pain leading up to a menstrual cycle, and the list goes on. The thinning hair, and but it helps with blood flow, and it's much better for the body to deal with these ailments. And one of the other things I want to mention here is inflammation. Inflammation, when we worry, when we hit our hand on the table or foot, and we feel that aches and pain, it is inflammation. Low-grade inflammation is when we worry or we use our internet too often. We're not thinking that we are beautiful and we are beautiful queens and princesses of God. Just little emotional things. Low-grade inflammation. And low-grade inflammation can also cause cancer because it's stress. And stress has a negative effect on the body. Now, by eating your legumes, that helps to ward off the stress. That helps to strengthen the immune system. That helps to deal with the everyday pressures of life. We shouldn't be afraid of having our legumes because there are chemicals in these plants that helps to ward off cancer cells. So we all have cancer cells, but it's how often they replicate and how they expand. We want to get rid of the bad cells out of the body. We want to have regular bowel movements as well too. That will help. Another thing too that it helps with. I'm just trying to remember the name of the. It bounds to like sugars in the body. So excess sugar. Again, because sugar, cancer cells love sugar. So you're getting rid of the sugar out of the body. And genistein and diacin helps the phytonutrients, the phytoestrogen, should say, that helps to get rid of sugar. So Sister Davina, I hope I've covered the points you want to pull out of here. Genistein and diacin are both endocrine disruptors. So it works with the endocrine system, but anything that disrupts the endocrine system, these two compounds get rid of them. They help to manage them, so to speak, in the body. Any more questions, Sister Davina? That helps to answer your question.
Sorry, I was talking away behind here.
And I just want to quickly say also that this phytoestrogen also helps with. Can you imagine that genistein? It actually crosses the placenta for the baby. So the lady who eats her soya beans and her soy when she's breastfeeding, that helps. When she's pregnant, it helps. But also when she has a baby and she's breastfeeding, that she includes soya in her diet because it helps with the breast milk. And it's one of the highest forms of isoflavones anyway. And you need that in the diet. It helps to balance your hormones. So whether it's a man or a woman, ensure that your family is having some soya in a diet. You're going to do it as you make your sweet and sour, you make whatever dish you're going to make with it. Your scrambled egg. I had some scrambled egg yesterday with my food. One of the quickest way for me to get it in. Yeah. Yes.
We should get you on the next taster session. All right. Sonia, just to add to what you're saying, I just want to read this little bit of research for you from Dr. Winston Craig's
Oh, yes.
vegetarian book, the textbook that is recommended on this course. So if you look at your course outline, it's at the top, the recommended textbook. So I'm reading from page 94. It says, soy reduces the risk of cancer. The consumption of soybeans is suggested as a contributing factor in the low incidence of breast and prostate cancer in Japanese women and men, respectively. Asian women who consume large amounts of soy foods have only 1/5 as much breast cancer as Western women, along with a reduced mortality from breast cancer. Chinese having a regular consumption of soybeans and or tofu have only 1/2 as much cancer of the stomach, colon, rectum, breast, prostate, and lungs compared with those Chinese who rarely consume soy or soy products. A high consumption of soy products and other legumes was associated with a 54% reduction in the risk of endometrial cancer in Hawaiian women. Decreased prostatic cancer was observed in Hawaiian men of Japanese descent who consume substantial amounts of tofu, while the use of soy milk once a day was associated with a 20% reduction in the risk of prostate cancer in Adventist men in California. I mean, I could just go on. The amount of statistics is here is just unbelievable. And I will encourage all students who have registered for this course, try and find that book, especially if you're in America. It is so much easier for you if you're in America than if you're in the UK to get a copy of this book. Some students have managed to get it secondhand online. It's brilliant. But if you can't get it secondhand, then try and get a official copy from, let someone in America purchase it for you and you know, carry it over, send it over or something. But yes, thank you very much, Sonia. That has so answered the question, and I will now pause again the recording if anyone has anyone have any more questions?
I just want to quickly say also that, you know, as you said, there's been a controversy over the many years, but I think more and more studies now. Okay, let me say it again. Yeah, so just want to quickly say that for years now, there's been a controversy whether or not soy is good. We shouldn't eat soy, you know, at all. But in more recent years, there are a lot more studies that have actually accepted that eating soy, phytoestrogen, is beneficial in many ways for the body. So sometimes when people are still caught up with not including it in their diets because they're not aware of the benefits, and the new research, new studies that are now encouraging the use of phytoestrogen, so of course soybeans, into the diet, because they've now found how beneficial it is. For men, women, for the entire family, for the babe and suckling until, you know, all ages of life, all various stages of life, that soya is beneficial.
Yes, and research also proves that if you start your babes from early on soy, it protects them.
Correct.
Yeah, it protects them in later years. So I used to have my glass of soya milk per day, but now I don't have it that often now anymore, like a glass per day. I don't have that anymore because I find myself eating so many other things. But I am a soy girl, right? And I had my run of bowel issues, bowel tumor, and I had my glass of soy per day, and that is completely gone. Never increased anything. It actually helped my body, and yes, I give God thanks for soy. But with that said, I'm also gonna be careful of what comes out of America. Do you want to touch on that, Sonia? What the soy that we get in from America, is that
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for that, Sister Davina. And I think that's where the fear comes in terms of, in Europe, not so much, but in the USA with genetically modified, GMO. And so once you're then tampering with the natural, making, then of course, one, you're breaking the molecular structure of the compound of the plant itself, so you're not getting the full benefits of it. It's like a man-made version. And once man makes something, okay, there will be defaults in it, but you want to gravitate to. So what I always say, ensure that things like edamame beans, if you have them available to you, get hold of them, but just ensure that it's organic and not from from being a GMO product. And I think that's where the scare and the concerns come in.
Yes,
Because,
thank you.
The GMOs.
Thank you very much, Sonia, for that. Anyone, have you got any questions for Sonia? All right, that seemed to be it. Sonia, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on the Natural Remedies Kitchen Club to support us today and to share with us your knowledge, your wealth of knowledge and information. We ask the Lord's blessings upon your ministry, and we hope to see you again soon on the next cooking course.